3 days ago, my husband discovered that I had been having an affair. While he is currently unaware that this relationship has been going on for nearly 2 years, it began with seemingly harmless sexting with a man I met in a professional context. I found myself feeling lonely and bored with my routine, despite my life being outwardly fulfilling. I craved excitement and energy that seemed to be missing from my daily existence. In hindsight, I realized that my affair partner was preying on my vulnerability. He was dishonest about his intentions, and I fell into his trap. What started as casual flirting quickly escalated into video calls, where I undressed myself, and eventually led to in-person meetings where we engaged in multiple physical encounters over a few months. Each time, I told myself it would be the last time, but I was consistently drawn back in by the temporary thrill of the situation. This isn't the first time I betrayed my husband's trust. Before my affair with this man, I was involved in another online relationship before we were married. Although that relationship never became physical, I was on the verge of meeting the other person. My husband was never aware of this earlier betrayal, and I rationalized it as being less harmful because we never actually met. Now, I can see that this pattern of seeking validation and excitement outside my marriage is indicative of a deep-seated issue within me. I need to confront this if I ever want to be trustworthy, not just to my husband but also to myself. Currently, my husband is in a very dark place, and I can see the pain etched in his eyes. In the past few days, he has brought up the possibility of divorce multiple times. He seems barely able to cope with the emotional turmoil, and I've been so focused on trying to help him through his pain that I haven't even begun to process my own feelings about this situation. What complicates matters further is that he doesn't know the full extent of the affair. It wasn't just emotional. It was also physical. I am struggling with the decision of whether to reveal this part of the story to him. I understand that the truth could potentially cause him even more pain, and I worry that his fragile state cannot withstand additional hurt. However, I also recognize that dishonesty, even by omission, is what brought us to this point in the first place. I know that true reconciliation won't be possible unless I change fundamentally. I want to become someone who embodies the values I've neglected for too long. The choices I've made have deeply hurt my husband, and I am committed to taking the time needed to heal the damage I've done. Not just for him, but for both of us. In terms of support, I want to give him the space he needs while also being available to help him through this difficult time. Whether it involves counseling, providing him with space, or simply being present when he wants to talk, I want to do anything I can to support him. It's painful for me to see him in such a dark place, and I long to help him find a way out, even if it's just to stabilize him enough for him to focus on his own healing. I want to start the long journey toward being someone he can trust again, not just as a partner, but as a person of integrity. I find myself grappling with whether I should be more transparent about the affair or if that would risk causing more damage. I am unsure if I should keep my distance or if I need to remain present, even when he seems to desire space. Since D-Day, I've been feeling incredibly low. I know I've neglected myself and my well-being during this time. I feel deeply ashamed of my actions and the hurt I've caused my husband, and I can't seem to find anyone to confide in. Venting to my husband is out of the question, because he is the one I've hurt most directly, and every conversation seems to only escalate his anger. I can't turn to my parents, as I can only imagine the disappointment they would feel if they knew the full extent of what I've done. I'm also too ashamed to admit my actions to my friends, which leaves me feeling isolated and alone. This isolation is taking a toll on my mental health. I have cut off all contact with my affair partner, which I know is the right choice, but I find the silence to be deafening. It's forcing me to confront the reality of what I've destroyed. Meanwhile, my husband continues to seek more details about the affair. He's determined to understand what happened, but I've been avoiding revealing the physical aspect of it. He believes the affair lasted only 2 months, while I know that it went much deeper and lasted longer than that. I fear that if I disclose everything, it could shatter him even further. He senses that I'm holding something back, and it's driving him to the brink. He's becoming increasingly restless and angry, convinced that I'm being insincere. It's disheartening to witness the pain I've inflicted on him. He talks to me in ways that make me feel worthless, reflecting the very hurt I've caused him. I feel stupid for what I've done, and struggle with the thought of whether I should even be around anymore. This is a painful realization, but I must accept that I brought this upon myself and my husband. I stand by, feeling like I'm being punished for my actions, and it's difficult to bear. It sounds like you're going through an incredibly challenging time, filled with confusion, fear, and overwhelming emotions. You're grappling with the complexities of a relationship that has become deeply strained, particularly following a significant event, which you refer to as D-Day, marking a pivotal moment of truth regarding your affair. It seems there's a perpetual cycle of trying to navigate communication with your partner, but nothing feels satisfactory. You describe a feeling of being trapped in a no-win situation where every action, whether it's making excuses, staying quiet, or attempting to be affectionate, seems to provoke a negative reaction. You express a profound sense of loss and helplessness as your husband has decided to leave. This decision has plunged you into a state of despair and anxiety about the future. You're facing not only the emotional fallout of the relationship's end, but also the practical implications of living alone. The prospect of managing daily responsibilities like bills and household duties feels daunting, especially since your husband had taken care of those aspects. You acknowledge your role in the breakdown of the relationship, yet you also convey a feeling of being unjustly treated, experiencing verbal abuse and emotional neglect over the years. As you reflect on your marriage, you recognize that the cracks have been forming long before your affair. It seems that you felt neglected and unloved, leading to feelings of isolation and resentment. Despite understanding that your actions were wrong, you feel that your partner has not taken responsibility for his part in the relationship's deterioration. This has led to a sense of exhaustion from constantly trying to navigate his anger and blame, while also managing your own feelings of worthlessness and guilt. You are in a delicate mental space, battling depression and feeling overwhelmed by the shame and fear of judgment from family and friends when the full story comes to light. The thought of facing their disappointment terrifies you, as you anticipate their reactions and the loss of support from those around you. You seem to be wrestling with the idea that you deserve better, yet you're caught in a cycle of guilt and fear about the repercussions of your choices. The emotional toll of living in a relationship marked by disrespect and disappointment has left you feeling trapped. You've expressed a desire for change and a path forward, but the weight of your circumstances makes it feel nearly impossible to find a way out. You're yearning for guidance on how to navigate this tumultuous period in your life, how to cope with the guilt and pain, how to take the first step toward a different life, and how to find support in a situation that feels incredibly isolating. It's clear that you're seeking clarity on your next steps and how to reclaim your sense of self after such a painful experience. This desire for honesty and for making amends is commendable, yet you're aware that the road ahead will be difficult. You're looking for advice and resources that can help you find a way to heal and eventually move forward, even when it feels like an insurmountable challenge.